If you want to know how to sell final expense over the phone, yep, this is that video. Warning, I'm going to remove the fluff, be as transparent as humanly possible, and just share the facts. Final expense telesales is not as easy as selling final expense face-to-face. There, I said it, it's done, don't shoot the messenger. And I know this because the agents who started selling final expense over the phone last year, our guys, because of the health thing that happened, well, a lot of agents went from selling face-to-face to selling final expense over the phone. Like, we're talking like 90% of those agents that did that went back to selling face-to-face either immediately or really soon, like as soon as they could. However, there are people who are really good on the phone, much better on the phone than they are in person. And if that's you, you should enjoy this final expense training video. We'll be talking about the best final expense leads to work, the final expense sales presentation that you're going to want to use, the importance of using the right final expense companies, carriers, and yes, since the platform at our agency is all about working with independent insurance agents, we're going to talk about final expense underwriting while using multiple final expense carriers and products. All of this and more, so stick around. Since final expense sales is a lead-driven industry, like you can't tell me you're a final expense agent if you're not running some type of final expense lead. It's a lead-driven industry. There are a few different types of leads that we use for selling over the phone. And let me just start by this. You do not want to waste your money on direct mail leads for selling over the phone. For whatever reason, there's a couple of companies out there. I know that when like Lincoln Heritage was making their switch last year, because they didn't do telesales, so they had to figure out, hey, we've got all these agents that don't want to go in the field. So they had to release a telesales platform. Their agents were primarily running whatever leads they had. And to me, the TV leads were okay, but the direct mail leads, that's just not the right lead for selling over the phone. Now, I bring back the TV leads. TV leads are awesome when they are live incoming leads and the insurance agent that's doing the sales is the one picking up the phone. However, this is just not a viable thing. We had a couple of different vendors that we worked with last year. The prices started at $55 each, $55 a lead, and then ended up being over $80. And by the time the price was up that high, the agents were only getting like a handful of these live calls every week. I mean, my last agent that left that lead program, I think he spent like 40 hours on the phone and only got like 2 of those calls through the whole week. TV leads, yeah, they're the best leads. They're just not viable. You're not going to be able to get them as an independent agent. You're just not. So what else is there? Well, you got a couple of different options. Telemarketed leads or Facebook leads. So with the Facebook leads, you can buy them. There's a bunch of vendors that sell them, so they are pretty available. Let me just give you a pro tip. If you're going to sell over the phone as an independent agent, you're not buying leads from the company you're working with, the best thing you want to do, I'm telling you, this is a pro tip, even if you're face-to-face really, is learn how to generate your own leads. Or find someone to manage your Facebook leads campaigns. So, and that's how you would generate them, basically through Google or Facebook is how most agents will self-generate. But like I said, if you can find someone, and we have someone for a few $100 a month, they run the campaigns, they change the ads, that way you know exactly what's in the ad and what's being put out there. When you purchase Facebook leads, the companies are not going to show you what they're advertising, what the ad is, because the ad is going to be super generic. It may not even have the word life insurance on it. It probably doesn't mention that there's going to be a cost for it. And it most likely, the clients will assume that it's some type of free government plan. Now, I know that the old school agents that run direct mail leads face-to-face, that is, I mean, I started with a direct mail lead that basically said, you may qualify for a program designed to cover your final expenses even if you've been turned down before. For more information, like it didn't even mention life insurance or anything, that's fine if you're door knocking final expense direct mail leads. But an ad like that, and you're paying whatever you're paying, 10 bucks, 15 bucks for a lead for an ad like that to sell it over the phone, man, you got nothing. You are going to have such a hard time. Again, that's why you want to self-generate your Facebook leads or get somebody like what we have. We've got two things. We've got one company, like if you were one of our agents, we've got a company for, I think it's right around $700. They'll show you some good ad proofs and they'll basically guide you on how to do it. They'll show you the basics of advertising on Facebook and running your own leads. And then I've got someone else for a few $100 a month. They'll basically run your whole platform for you. You know, you tell them how much you want to spend every day. They'll even give you information like, well, we don't suggest you spend that much in this state because there's too many other agents that are spending more because you're going to be running ads. If you're selling over the phone, guys, you got to be licensed in several states. And that, to me, is another key. If you're selling over the phone and you're only working one state, you may be making a big mistake. Even if you're only generating your own leads in that state. You're thinking, well, it's my state, I can do it. Here's why. When I was selling over the phone years ago, I actually had an office. There was a handful of us that were selling over the phone. The one thing I learned was that some states were better than others. And that's the type of thing like your upline manager should be able to help you with. If they say they're all the same, you're in trouble because they're not. They're not. One of the things, and that's the one thing I can't do is create my own competition. So there's certain things I'll share with you guys and certain things I won't. That's a type of thing where if you're one of our agents, I'm going to give you a list of the states that you want to work and I'm going to tell you, you do not want to work that state. You know, a perfect example is New York State. New York, it's a waste. Telemarket Leads, a few years ago, they were like everywhere, these Asian and maybe Pakistan, Indian or Pakistan type of leads. If you're purchasing telemarketed leads, and telemarketed leads do work if you're using a dialer. A company I recommend, I'll give you a good one, is the Dolphin Dialer. I think it's EVS. But if you just Google the words Dolphin Dialer, that's a pretty good one. They've got a couple different versions. I'm going to tell you right now, you want to put the version that goes downloaded onto your computer. You don't want to do the one that's in the cloud. So you want to use a dialer, but those offshore telemarketed leads are dangerous. My experience with dealing with companies, because we do sell them, and we did start doing that years ago, and I had to figure out how to find out if they were scrubbed or not. And that was kind of complicated. One of the things that I realized was I would try one company, the leads weren't scrubbed. The next, the leads weren't scrubbed. All these guys that swear on LinkedIn, they're going after you saying, hey, we've got the best telemarketed leads from our offshore call center. 9 out of 10 of them will not be scrubbed. We've already seen a major lawsuit, our agency, because of an agent that used an unscrubbed lead. So I am telling you, I mean, unless you're rich and you've got $30,000 laying around to pay for lawyer fees and to fight these guys, these attorneys that basically sit around with phones taking on leads and suing lead vendors, you do not want that. Your leads have to be guaranteed to be on the do not call list. If you're interested, we do have them. We do sell them to the public. That's something we can help you with. But let me just say this. To me, like I said, you really want to work as an independent agent. The Facebook leads, to me, I think are going to be a better option if you're generating them yourself, or if you have someone helping you to generate. In other words, running your campaign the way that we do. If you're buying them, they're basically going to be very similar to a telemarketed lead, to a cheap telemarketed lead. And what a telemarketed lead is, real quick, is the telemarketer calls and says, hey, Mrs. Jones, we've got a new state-regulated life insurance program designed to cover your final expenses, and it is extremely affordable, designed for people on Social Security. So they basically tell you really what it is. They mention life insurance, they mention cost, and then they say, is it okay if our agent Doug Massi gives you a call back? That's it. If they say yes, that's your telemarketed lead. The transfers from overseas are even worse. I would say 99 out of 100 companies that are offshore and they're doing live transfers, you're going to get killed. The problem with the live transfers are these transfers are hard. They're easier when it's on unscrub list. So most of them won't scrub them. They'll swear they're scrubbed. And the next thing you know, you've got a transfer going to you of an attorney who's going to love to buy the insurance. He's going to sue you. He's going to sue the insurance company. And you're going to be in your worst nightmare ever. One other thing, we have live transfers also. And of course, they are scrubbed. The problem is you're only going to get 3 or 4 a day. I said it, I'm being upfront, full disclosure. Most companies will do it. They're going to try to give them to you one on top of the other. You need time. You need to make your presentation. If you're doing a good presentation, and here's another pro tip, you're not giving the prices in that telesales presentation until you're like 40 minutes into it. So what you don't want to do is be waiting for these transfers when you're only going to get 2 or 3 in a day. It's just not worth it. And don't risk your insurance license. Don't risk getting sued. Don't mess with those offshore call centers unless you know how to verify that the leads are scrubbed. This is what I'm going to ask. Please leave a comment below. You know, we appreciate hearing from you. I don't hear enough from you guys. If you agree with what I'm talking about, share it. If you've had experience similar to the stuff I'm talking about, please share it. I mentioned earlier, not everybody should be selling over the phone. Most people shouldn't be selling anyways, but when it comes down to it, sales, you're going to be better off doing face-to-face, most people. The reason I say that is because there is a certain type of personality that should be selling over the phone and shouldn't be selling over the phone. One of the things, and I had an experience, I'll give you a perfect example. Back when we had the call center, there was an agent that trained with us for one day. He came in one day, and what we realized is he couldn't multitask. You have to be a good multitasker. In all honesty, he was an older gentleman, real nice guy. He was more likely to be one of our clients than a professional closer, though. And he had a hard time opening windows and doing multiple stuff. So when I say multitasking, the things you're doing when you're selling over the phone, so you're reading your script, your presentation, and if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to get our presentation. Well, it's our short version. It's a 6-page final expense telesales presentation, and what you're going to be able to do with it, it's going to show you how and when to go off script, maybe build rapport and talk to the client about anything like their hobbies, what they enjoy doing, their family, even, and I know this is silly, even the weather. The idea of doing a telesale is you have to build more rapport over the phone than you normally would face-to-face. Common sense, because they're being told, think about it, we're being told, seniors are being told, do not ever give out your social security number, never give out your checking information. So you have to use a really good presentation, a good script. What's cool about our presentation, the one that you're going to be able to get by watching this video all the way to the end, is that it has a bunch of rebuttals and objections at like 4 or 5 pages at the end. So you know how to deal with the client when they say anything like, I don't know, you know what, I don't have time for this. Can you go ahead and just stick this in the mail for me? Absolutely, Mr. Jones, we're going to give you everything in the mail. We're going to send you everything, and I'm almost done, so just give me a little more time. And then you keep pushing through. So to me, that's what a rebuttal is. You're simply rebutting and moving forward. And they'll give you another one, and they'll say, well, I'm getting ready to go somewhere. No problem, Mr. Jones, we're almost there. And then you keep going with the presentation. You're going to find that people will naturally give you these type of rebuttals, and then they'll stay on the phone. They're really just, they're just wanting to move on because they want to get back to watching whatever it is that they're watching, Good Times or whatever, TV, All in the Family, whatever the heck they're watching on TV. And you'll find that when you hold them and you're using a long presentation, that so much rapport is going to be built that at the end, they're going to feel like, wow, well, I have almost, and this is crazy, this is part of what I believe in using neuro-linguistics programming, which is highly suggestive material. Your presentation should be highly suggestive so that they start thinking, okay, now, all right, I need to pick an option. I've been doing this for this long. Now it's time to pick. That's kind of what you want. You don't want them to feel like they wasted their time. At one point, you are going to be having to ask medical questions because remember, I told you, we are multitasking. So you're reading from your presentation, you're looking at your screen, you're doing the pricing. Well, you're going to be doing the underwriting first. So let's say you pick a carrier like, I don't know, Prosperity. To me, they're an excellent company to lead with because their product is very simple. You're looking at the Prosperity product, so you got to pull up the medication page. You have to get the client up off the couch to come back with either all their medication bottles or their list of medication. You get them to read that to you. So you're going to be doing the field underwriting. And this is the multitasking. It gets a little complicated. It's not for most. So you're going to have one page open. You're looking up the medication. You're writing down your notes. You've already got your notes of the medication once they give it to you. Meanwhile, you're still reading the presentation. And then you're pulling up the pricing for the carrier. So you've got to be good at that multitasking. That really is how you do the underwriting. Then, of course, you've got to pick the product. You know, just because you're going with Prosperity, you may be going with the level, the graded, or the modified. One of the reasons I like agents to lead with Prosperity as a telesales product is because they do true Social Security billing, which means they will always draft the payment on the day that the client receives their Social Security monies. They will take debit cards if needed. You do not want to take a debit card. Get your client to give you their checking account information. Do not take a debit card. That is the worst thing you can do. If you can avoid it, if you've got no choice, you've got no choice. The third thing, and this is kind of cool, this is unique. Prosperity, SUSA, what they'll actually do is pay you the same commission for the level, the graded, and the modified product. So if you'd like a contract for Prosperity, you can always shoot me an email at doug@ufesonline.com. Or Royal Neighbors is one of the carriers that we like to use too. To me, if you're really good at working with multiple carriers, they have a great product. One of their niches, one of the things about Royal Neighbors is that they do not have a height, weight, a build chart. So I like that about them. I like that there are certain health issues that they don't care about. Like they've got like a cool super niche. So you got a client who's on insulin, they don't care. A lot of people that are on insulin have issues from the insulin. If your client has neuropathy and they're taking gabapentin or something like that, most companies are going to want to switch it to the modified. They're not going to offer you first day coverage. Royal Neighbors has no problem with that. So you could have a 2,000-pound client on insulin with neuropathy and you can give them first day coverage. One of the other carriers I like is Liberty Bankers Life. Now, so let me just say this. All the companies I've mentioned, Royal Neighbors, Prosperity, Liberty Bankers Life, they all do the true Social Security billing. So they will always draft the payment on the day the client receives their money. Why is this important? Because let's say you sell Mutual of Omaha, okay? The 3rd falls on a Saturday, and that's when they receive their Social Security money, that client. You know, they'll usually receive it on the 1st, the 3rd, the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Wednesday. So the client receives it on the 3rd. But the 3rd's going to fall on a Saturday or a Sunday or a holiday at least 3 times a year. When that happens, Social Security by law has to pay the client the business day before. So the 3rd falls on a Saturday. They're not going to get paid on Monday. They're going to get paid on Friday the 2nd. Mutual of Omaha will wait until Monday to draft. And with our super low income clients, you're losing sales. You're going to have business fall off the books. Why? Because a lot of these people, they're going to have enough money to pay their bills right there on the day that, I hate to say it, on the day that the money comes in, and some of them will just take all the money out of the account and they'll leave like $1 in there. And what they'll pay, they'll get used to having overdraft fees, so they'll pay the overdraft protection thing. They'd rather pay $35 a month for overdraft protection, and that way they're secured. And what they'll do is, a lot of banks will give them choices. With overdraft protection, they can either have the payment made or not allow that last payment to be made, and that's what most of these people will do. The insurance, Mutual of Omaha, you'll go through all this process. I don't like Mutual of Omaha because you have to, I think there's an email thing that they have to do. So I'm not going to sell a product over the phone where the client has to open an email to get the product. So Mutual of Omaha, they're a great company for face-to-face. Love, love, love them, but they don't do the true Social Security billing. They're selling them over the phone just isn't very viable. American Amicable is one other company. The reason I like them is because they seem to draft the payment like in the middle of the night. Like, they do the true Social Security billing, but at like 3 o'clock in the morning, it seems like for whatever reason, the clients that I've sold to American Amicable, the persistence and the placement has been higher with that company than any. Did they have any special niches? No. So, and let me just go over some of the processes with this, because I'm going to talk about one other company, Ascendo. With Prosperity, you are going to do an electronic application, and then you're going to get the client on the phone for a very short interview. With Royal Neighbors, you're just going to do a phone interview. They're going to ask all the questions on the application. They're going to get everything over the phone. And with Liberty Bankers Life, it's the exact same thing. Now, American Amicable is a little different. They're going to do the phone interview. They're going to ask a lot of the information over the phone. And then after the sale is done, you can actually go back and do the e-app. So that kind of makes it convenient. I kind of like that. I've sold American Amicable over the phone. I just find their underwriting to be a little stricter than like Prosperity, maybe even Liberty Bankers Life and Royal Neighbors, to be honest with you. Now, Ascendo. This is the CVS product. Let me just say one more time. If you want a contract for any of the products that we've talked about, you can email me at doug@ufesonline.com. Ascendo. Ascendo, with them, you simply do the e-application and you get the approval right there. Most companies only do that when you're selling face-to-face. So I love that you can do a telesale and not have to worry about a three-way call. Ascendo does this. Now, let's say, what are some pros and cons? You know, they are not going to do true Social Security billing. They don't have it set up yet. To me, that's kind of a con. Their prices are okay. Maybe a little on the higher end in many cases. So to me, Ascendo, like I said, if you're an independent agent, you're writing a bunch of carriers, Ascendo, they have their little niche. If you are like, and this is, if I was a full-time agent, I would be tempted by writing all my business with Ascendo, all my good business, because well, they're only going to take checking. And that's pretty much with everybody except for Prosperity that I mentioned. Prosperity will take the debit cards. The other companies, they won't. They're not going to take Direct Express either. So Ascendo, your clients got to have a checking account or you're out. But the idea of just doing that e-app, that's tempting to just send everything to them and find out right then and there if your client's going to get approved without having to go round and round and have to go back and switch carriers. I like that. I like that a lot. And did I mention, if you stick around to the end of this video, that I'm going to show you how to get a copy of the medical questions page that you're going to absolutely want to use. So again, stick around to the end. I'm going to show you how to get the presentation. Yeah, you print it out. That's what you're reading from when you're making your sale, and the medical questions page. So this is where you're writing your notes. You're going to be able to take this medical questions page. You're going to get all the information from the client, everything from their height, their weight. There's even a spot where you can write their banking information, their Social Security information, everything. It's going to help to guide you to the best product. Or if you're new and you're just writing, say, for example, I would say write Prosperity. It's going to guide you whether to help you to make it to write the level, the graded, or the Prosperity modified product, which again, the commission on Prosperity, it's going to be the same no matter what product that you write. I love that. Prosperity is the only company that does that. The idea that you can go and write a modified and get full commission, that's kind of cool. When you go to the close, real quick, just have them write down 3 options when you say, and Mrs. Jones, of the 3, which can you afford each month? Tell them to circle it. That's my first tip with that. And a good presentation is going to guide you into that anyways. Last, you absolutely want to do a cool down. When you've closed your sale, you need to spend 5 minutes talking to them about anything other than insurance. I don't care if even if go back to their hobbies, if you've already talked to them. Oh, so what do you think? You going to do any fishing this week? Any chance of that happening? If you've talked about family or it's a holiday or something. So, and you get into the benefit, is your sister the beneficiary? If they talk about the beneficiary, it's the sister, bring her up. Talk about anything other than insurance stuff. For a copy of the telesales presentation and or the medical questions page, you really should get both of these from me. Just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. For more information on selling final expense through us as an independent agent, you'll get the top contracts, you'll get access to all the lead programs. Just shoot me an email at that same address. Remember, guys, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually take care of itself. So get on out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.